The Rebel Capitalist Show. All right, guys, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome someone back to the Rebel Capitalist Show. He is my good friend and the official lawyer. He's the official Rebel Capitalist lawyer himself, Robert Barnes. Welcome back, buddy.
Good to be here.
All right. Well, you and I have this FOIA request going with the Fed. I mean, they were past their deadline, I think, in February was their deadline. They kept blowing us off. We requested all of this information prior to that. You texted me the other day and said that we've received word from them. So I guess that's a little bit of progress. What's going on?
So we made an expansive request, a request by both topic and transaction. The topical request included requests about communications concerning certain people, concerning certain transactions, concerning certain subject matters that covered the whole history of the Fed. And some was very specific audit tailored materials that you would do if you were a bank auditor. A bank auditor drafted that part of our FOIA request. And then we, with the help of various people in the community as well, drafted for a whole bunch of different topical areas. They initially came back, and within the FOIA rules, they can request extensions of time. They exhausted all of those extension requests. They kept saying, don't worry, we're looking at this. We're getting it together. It's a lot of material. We just need a little more time. And they did 4 of those, and then they ran out of time by February. So I communicated to them in March that, we're looking at suing unless we're going to get responses. And so then they suddenly assigned a high-ranking supervisor to the matter.
Okay.
And they send back a communication which presents an opportunity, but it was an interesting one. According to them, the Fed has no way to search for the materials we requested. According to them, the Fed doesn't know how to search by topic. They don't know how to search by transaction. They don't know how to search by individual. They don't know how to search by subject matter. And my favorite part was we had requested information concerning what has the Fed been talking about concerning the 16th Amendment, the scope of it, taxing cryptocurrency, taxing gold, taxing wealth, taxing unrealized gains. They came back and they said, we don't know what you're talking about, taxes. We have nothing. We don't know anything about taxes. that was the actual description of the report. So what they've done is effectively said, you've walked into our library, and we're not going to show you anything in our library unless you tell us what our Dewey system is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like the Dewey Decimal System. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Unless you tell us how we've organized our records, how we've archived our records, how we've digitized our records, unless you can give us that code, we can't give you anything. So, but to me, that really just opened up an opportunity. They could buy time of this tactic, fine. We knew they would take these kind of delay tactics to them. But what they really did is they gave me a good idea, which was we should ask the Fed, what do they digitize? What do they archive? How do they store information? How do they access information? How do they record information? How do they train their FOIA people to access that information when requests are made?
Yeah, I mean, that could help out a lot of other people, too, that are either in the process of doing a FOIA request with the Fed or maybe other government agencies, and then people that will do that in the future. And that was one of our main goals here.
Exactly. I mean, we were just requesting certain things in the vault. They're now basically telling us we have to ask for the architecture of the vault, how the vault was designed, how the vault was structured, and what the code is to the vault. Well, that's fine by me. I was like, I hadn't even thought about asking for that. But that is dramatically expansive because then we can give everybody a roadmap to where everything is stored, everything is located, everything is identified. We can give them the code to the vault anytime they want for a FOIA request. So we're going to be filing an amended request that asks for all of that additional information. Say, okay, you're saying we have to know what the code is. Tell us what the code is. Tell us how the vault was structured. Tell us how it was designed. Tell us what goes into which safe deposit boxes. Tell us where the keys are. Tell us what the keys are. And then we'll come back with our request for the specific subject matter that we want within that structure. But this way, we're going to find out the entire the entire Fed structure. Because personally, I have no doubt that they have digitized and archived massive amounts of these records.
Right.
And I have no doubt they can search within a keystroke of like we asked for. What have you ever said about Ron Paul? We're just kind of curious. Well, what's in the emails? What's in the memorandums? Tell us all the time, Ron. I can guarantee you they can type in somewhere at the Fed Ron Paul and find every communication, memorandum, email, or document concerning him. They're pretending that they can't unless we give them the code, the key, the password. So we're going to ask for the password. And that in turn will allow people to really be able to enter the FOIA vaults of the Fed forevermore. So it's going to be even more beneficial in the long term. They were so obsessed with buying time, they gave us a roadmap for how to unlock the vault permanently.
Yeah, they opened themselves up. Okay, so that was my next question is because I shouldn't say me, because you did this amendment, I guess that sets the clock back to zero. So now they have another, 3 months, 5 months to respond to the amendment?
To a certain degree. We're going to phrase it and frame it as an amended complaint, as an amended request. Consequently, that puts them back on a regular 30-day timetable.
Okay.
So they would have to respond in June. What they may try to do is they may try to say, well, this amended request is really a new request and try to trigger the old timelines. They can get away with that. They can at least try that, and there's not much we could do about it aside from suing earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
But if it looks like we're going to ultimately get the new information, then we let them play out how much they can delay. If it looks like they're just going to delay and never get it to us, we have earlier and easier grounds to sue now because it's technically framed as an amended complaint, which we got the right to because of how they chose to respond.
Right. And, I don't think it's any more encouraging the way they responded, because, if you think that through, let's just say that, let's take them at their word and say that they don't have the ability to actually, source those records or sort their, electronically any emails that have pulled up the name Ron Paul or something like that, or they have no way of knowing what happened, during the 2020 March when they set up that special purpose vehicle to buy corporate debt. There's just no way of knowing that within the Fed. That's even scarier than the Fed having the power in the first place, because now all of a sudden they've got the power and they're admitting that they're completely inept and completely incompetent.
Exactly. If the Fed is in a position where they can't even find out what somebody thought, say, in the late 60s or early 70s about inflation, that's more damning than what information likely would be given to us about those communications.
Exactly.
So that's why I see it as win-win. It becomes a court of public opinion win and a legislative reform. Because for those people that want reform of the Fed, they obviously run into hurdles in terms of real ending the Fed, but there are ways to chip away at it. Yep. And if we're able to document, the Fed's not even keeping accessible information about their own policies and procedures about critically historically relevant debates and discussions and conversations over time, then that's something that can be legislatively fixed. In other words, that's something that people could pass as Rand Paul could push through a proposal that says, hey, let's just amend so that the Fed has to digitize and archive all their records for FOIA searchable purposes. That's a small legislative reform that would be much easier to pass than the whole scale one. So it opens up the possibility of legislative reform. My bet, like yours, is they absolutely have the means to access all these kind of records. Yeah. And they're just going to have to disclose it to us.
Yeah.